Are you one of the 34% of adults using ChatGPT, or are you one of the 66% of the adults that are wondering what's all the fuss, the noise is about? Generative AI isn't going anywhere. And sometimes we get stuck in the noise and we're thinking, I don't know if I even care. This past week, I've been talking about the noise, ChatGPT, any other platform that kind of gets in the way of it's going to do all the work for me. I don't know if I want to use it. It's going to stop me from thinking. It's not going to stop you from thinking. The internet didn't stop us from thinking. AOL, that noise that we so love, didn't stop us from thinking, but it did give us access to knowledge. Rember the industrial age? Maybe some of us don't, where you assembly line things, you went to work, you got it done, you got out at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever that was. Now we are producing differently. And sometimes we sit in, I need to get so much done in this amount of time, and I need to sit and get it done. But we don't give ourselves time to think. Generative AI can help you think. ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, Copilot, you name it. It can help us think differently. And I think that if you are one of the few, or maybe more like two-thirds of the population in the United States is not using it, you might get left behind. And you may want to know, like, now what? Where do you get started? You're not alone. You're not alone. My twin sister and I had a conversation just recently and over the last 3 years, as of November, because we're in November of 2022, about how do we help support other people to learn generative AI while we're learning it. Because when ChatGPT came out, we were like, wow, like the information that it could give you. That's how I felt in 95 when I could search on the internet. And I want to give you some statistics and show you what I found. And I did do this, of course, using generative AI, and I asked it some questions. I asked it this, and I asked it, what groups are using ChatGPT? And give me some research. And this is what I found. I found that of US adults, according to, you see the research, the Pew Research Center in June, like this year, June of 2025, 34% of US adults have used ChatGPT, probably other platforms too. And for teachers, 51% report using ChatGPT for lesson planning or grading. And if you're thinking, oh my gosh, please don't put my students' information in the system, probably not doing that because there's privacy with that. We want to not expose students' information into ChatGPT or publicly, but it can give you how can I create a rubric, for example? How do I score this so that it's a way that really shows me if students learn something, which I really appreciate. And then we have teens, ages 13 through 17. Now, these were surveyed with the same research company that did the US adults. 26% have used ChatGPT for schoolwork. This was about a year ago, up from 13% in 2023. So we talked a little bit about this, I think on Monday or Tuesday when I went live. Students who use ChatGPT to help them think, slow down, organize their thoughts, they're going to use it and it's still their own work. But students who go into ChatGPT, put in the assignment and say, do this for me, and then turn it in, they're not learning. And we say that even with the internet, when students used to, or even adults used to copy, cut, paste, put it in a Word document and turn it in. And then you had these hyperlinks. Those of you that are professors and teachers, you're like, yeah, you didn't write that because there's a hyperlink right here. People didn't know. They thought this is how writing was. And teaching writing is hard. It doesn't, no matter what language it is. And then real estate agents, according to the National Association of Realtors, in 2024, I'm hoping they have a new survey coming out soon, say that about 42% of realtors reported having used ChatGPT. And then another survey group said real estate agents, now these were brokerages, maybe not all real estate agents, about 80% of brokerages say their agents use AI tools. Now, this is somebody speaking for someone else. They may have used it, dabbled in it, but are they using it to help them become more efficient, which we don't know. And then the businesses, general US, 52% of adults say they use large language models, LLM, AI, like ChatGPT and other places in work or daily life. And you see the age groups there, and they fluctuate. So businesses, 24 to 44, I mean, this here, now this poll, this is a university poll. There are probably some other polls you can look at. Again, I was able to pull this and extract it pretty quickly. But if you Google it or go into ChatGPT and say, show me some research about this, it'll give it to you. And we can even do that research together and have that conversation. But what are you doing to make sure that you are in front of and being able to get in front of ChatGPT? Now, this is my GPT that is my free account. And sometimes we don't know where to start. Like, and if you don't know where to start, I always say start with tell me what generative AI is. And if you don't even know that, just ask ChatGPT, can you tell me what ChatGPT is? I don't know what it is. I haven't used it and I'd like to learn. Just tell it. And when it finishes, I'm actually going to tell you one more. I'm doing this for a demo. So I know you know that I've been using generative AI for a while, but just make an assumption. I'm giving you a role here that I am not the user. I'm doing this for a demo. Now, those of you that know that I do talk a little bit about prompt crafting, like your persona, I gave it a bit of a persona, a context, and a task. So that way it knew that I wasn't trying to portray myself here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Yesterday, I figured out I could change the background to pink. You can make it blue or just gray it out. And so this it's telling me, excellent. It'll make you feel good, by the way. It is not a therapist. It is not a person. It just knows that I told it, be kind to me. So now it's saying, for the sake of your demo, you might start with something simple and relate. Let's imagine you never use ChatGPT. Great. I'm doing this as a live demo. So I asked you the question and the task. So can you do that for me? So now it's telling me how I should do my demo. So it knows to slow down and ask me questions. That was intriguing. It's telling me what I should do when I actually just wanted it to do it, which is interesting. So now, so ChatGPT demo plan. It's not what I want at all. I don't want a plan. I just want to demonstrate what this is. ChatGPT has really learned me. I want you to, while I'm live on YouTube, show other people and answer the question, tell me what ChatGPT is. So this is really me breaking down the context. Now I had to make it and slow it down and say, wait a minute. Okay, so tell me, what is ChatGPT? Here it is. ChatGPT is an advanced conversational AI created by OpenAI. You can think of it as a language-based assistant. That's great. Like, that is huge. This is better than what it used to say. It used to just give me this in technical terms, and it's that understands questions, generates ideas, and communicates in natural human-like language. It's trained on vast amounts of text. So there are people, humans, that come together, put some things together and say, no, not this, maybe this. So it can help you write, plan, analyze, or explain most anything, from crafting a lesson plan to summarizing research or even planning a trip. But what makes ChatGPT different from a search engine is that it doesn't just find information, it helps you create and refine it. Now, just so you know, I like to point this out. ChatGPT likes to put these dashes in here. And these dashes aren't typical in a lot of writing. If you look in like books that I wrote, or other authors, they put that dash there instead of a semicolon, because anything after the dash is supposed to be something that's really focused on, almost like an exclamation. Like, this is how you probably would say it. Different from a search engine is that it doesn't just find information, it helps you create and refine it. So that's a dash. We call it an M dash or an N dash. That's a whole nother conversation. And so it really is breaking it down. But what I wanted to do now is, can you give me the technical term for ChatGPT, like the GPT and other, like as if you were talking to me like a collegiate person, like I was in college. Break it down like that. Now it's going to, really elevate what the language is. And you can do that. Like, just start with a clear role and context. Some other tips, as it's thinking, is you can ask for a specific task at a time. You can slow it down, like what I'm doing, give it a clear role and context, and then get it to slow down so it doesn't overwhelm. It can overwhelm and give you so much, you're like, I'm not reading all of that. So it's telling you what it is. Generative means it creates, it generates. You can see that that's part of the root word generate. It doesn't just retrieve information like Google, it actually generates new text based on what you ask. And then pre-train means it's already been trained on a large amount of textbooks, articles, websites, and other publicly available writing. Great. Transformer refers to the deep learning architecture behind it. That's a type of neural network, things that are like if you ever seen like things that are connected like our brain, that's what the neural network is. That helps the model understand relationships between words and ideas in a sentence, which is fantastic. This is easy. The chat part, I love this. Just means that this version has been fine-tuned to interact conversationally. It's a chat. You will people to hear people say, I'm going to go ask chat. I still like to say I'm going to go ask ChatGPT because I want people to know that I'm using OpenAI's platform. Maybe sometime people will start to say, I'm going to use Gemini. I'm going to use Perplexity. I'm going to go Copilot, whatever. And then you notice that I refined and I reiterated and I iterated, trying to get it to do something with me. And sometimes you might want to provide constraints and examples of what you do. And that's not always in this. For example, I might say, can you give me three things in a table of examples on how I could use ChatGPT? I am a new real estate agent and I would like to know how to use it in a way that it doesn't do all the work for me, but it does the work with me. And then also in this table, give me one article for each one of these examples that I can read or research. It'll do a lot of things. Now, these are some basic things, but you would be very surprised at what ChatGPT can do for you and with you. You notice that it was searching the web and it's how to use ChatGPT with you, not just for you. And it lists some things here: idea generation and brainstorming, drafting content to copy, you edit, client communications and personalization, market insights, your expert commentary, and then quality control and regulatory, excuse me, check. And then table of use cases. Now I'm going to expand this so you can really see it. Now I could just copy it here and I could go over to my Google account. I'll select Sheets and a new sheet and I will paste it and see if it works. It does. Kind of messy for those of you that don't use Google Sheets or Excel very often. You just go between the column A and 1, select it, and then go between one of the columns here and you see the array with the two arrows and just double click it and bam. Now, if you're thinking that's too wide, you can go to Format, you can go to Wrap, and you can wrap it. And now I would just select one of the large columns or a couple of the columns. Like I'll select this one, and then all I have to do is get that array again and move it over to the left. And now I have a table that I would like. And if you're thinking, I really would love to see how this would look where it's more appealing, all you have to do is go to the borders, select the border. You can change the width of the border. This is how I like to do tables. And typically it's similar if you're writing an academic paper or a book. You can do this like this. You put a border here, separate the main topics, and then put a border at the bottom. Beautiful. And then I normally would just justify this to the right so you can see it. If you're thinking it's still too close together, you can insert a column left, minimize this slightly, and then you have a little bit of a break there. So if I were to print this or put it in a document, it wouldn't, this middle part would look like a bit of a separation to make it cleaner. But you can see that these use cases are great. You can listing descriptions in social media, gives you what you do with ChatGPT, collaborative forum, an article to read or research. Those of you that, first of all, I love to read. It does increase the connections in your brain, your dendrites in your brain, and it increases brain cells. It keeps you active. It keeps your mind thinking. So I recommend that you go and you read these articles. Some of them will be public facing and they've done other research about other research, or some of them will be actual what we call peer reviewed articles. But those are things that you can do. When it set an example, the constraints you basically are constraining what you want it to do for you by giving it specificity. And always double check the facts. So if based on these articles, write me a blog as if I've been doing this a while, and I will be adding the table in the blog. So go ahead and put the table in the blog as well. So I could do this, but you bet I will be reading these articles before I put this blog up. So it's doing this blog, and it's not my life's work. So it's not like, this is, and I would even cite ChatGPT at the bottom. Created this entire blog for me. And I'm not saying that I'm going to even publish this because this is not my area of expertise and I have not read any of this, but it's very nice. You can create a blog because you want to give people more information about the industry. You could have created a blog for your clients, but always vet it because OpenAI does something called hallucinating, and you don't want it to hallucinate. So this is very nice. And a lot of us don't talk in this language, so you have to be cognizant of what that really is. And then now I'm going to copy this, but look, it says, would you like me to format this next as a ready to publish blog? First, I need to do this. I'm going to put yes and. So even if I didn't do that, let's go back to Google and let's say we're going to create a document. Let's say we're going to create this blog. Look at how beautiful that is. It now has what we call markdowns, AI as a partner, not a replacement. There's so many things you can do with it. And if it's your own homework, do the work. And honestly, I would probably look at those articles, write it all out, and say, can you organize this better? But if not, you can say, look, this is what ChatGPT did, and then I went and verified it to make sure that the structure was there. Now it's still thinking, but at the bottom, it is my hope that it does cite it, and it doesn't know that I like a certain format for a citation. But this is something that is profound in what you could do. I select that, it gives me the title at the top. I mean, the things you can do to let it help you. Now, there are people who have written full books using generative AI, but they do cite it and say that. Um, can it edit for you? Things like that. Yeah, you still would want a human to edit and look at things like that. And then looking ahead, and let's see if it gives me the citations. It does. So I would grab these citations and I would have put them at the bottom, and I would hope that it says OpenAI, ChatGPT, and cites it. Let's see if it really does it. Table and analysis generated in collaboration with OpenAI's ChatGPT, November 2025. Would you like me to format this next for WordPress or LinkedIn publishing? Why not? Yes. If I were to publish this, which I don't plan on it, but my thinking is that I put a paragraph at the top and say this was fully created by OpenAI, and then because it's saying by in collaboration with OpenAI. I mean, wow. Because I asked it to do it. You gave it context. You asked it to go find all of that. How beautiful is that? Like, there it is. So, something that you can consider. Hopefully, this was extremely helpful. And as a reminder, 5 things we did: start with a clear role, give it context, ask for one specific task at a time. You can ask it for many things, but as you build on it, you can ask more. Refine and iterate. Like, what I mean by iterate, you tell it what you want. Reiterate. In other words, sometimes you hear the word reiterate means say it again and say it where it understands. If you notice that at the very beginning when I used ChatGPT, it was trying to do it as, oh, here's how you could do the demo. No, I wanted you to actually do the demo. So I had to be more specific and give it those constraints. Like, no. The constraint is if you think about a constraint, it's like in a box, like it's in one thing, meaning you specifically say, don't go out of this realm. I need you to do this. And then showed you some examples on what that would look like, and always double check the facts. Because if you don't, it will hallucinate and start to make things up. And what I mean by that, it'll create an article for you that exists, but if you click on the links, it may not be something that's actually really there. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great Friday, and I will see you soon. I may not be doing this every morning, but I will at least be doing this on Mondays. It might just be Mondays with Nina or mornings with Nina. We'll see. Have a great day.